I don't know about you, but when I'm building a website, sometimes I have the most fun when I'm doing the very first section where I'm setting a background and messing around with a bit of motion effects or the background, whether it's a scroll or a fixed, because I often find if I get that right, that starts to define the rest of the website. What's the flow? What's the look and feel? What's the theme? Which you should already know if you've done a spec and a wireframe, but do you get what I mean, Bo? And it's the most fun bit to do, because that's when you start putting your passion in. So let's have a look at how we're going to create a background. I probably said background and that wasn't the right word. We're actually going to be looking at a section, but it is the background that goes into it and how that can impact on the look of the very first thing people will see when they go to your website. Okay, let's get started. Let's just put in a simple section. We're just going to go for one column, okay? We're going to go to that section and we are going to say it is a full width. We could go for boxed. I could put in here 600 and that's going to be the width of the section. But for now, we're just going to go with full width. I'm going to leave the columns gap as default. I'm not going to say no gap or narrow or anything like that. Just leave it as default. And I'm going to set the height to be a minimum height, okay? You could set it to the full screen as well, or fit to screen. So that means that whatever you put in there, whatever image it is, it will, if it works out the size of the screen, fill the screen. I do find it's not perfect at doing that. And sometimes you will get an image on a screen or a layout you've created and you're viewing it on either a really big screen or something else, and it either goes a bit too much or a bit too less. But you will come to realize what is the best height for you. I've put that back onto minimum height at the moment. I'm not going to touch the column position or the vertical align at the moment or anything like that. And there's no point going to the structure because it's only one column. We got 2 columns, we could have done a 50-50. We got 3 columns, we could do a 25-25-50 or 33-33-33. You get the idea, but we're going to leave it at that because there's nothing else in there. What we're going to do is go to the style. And we are going to add in a background. So let's just put in a color. Let's just go for a red color. Pretty simple. It's pretty small at the moment. Okay, fine. Or maybe we want to add in a gradient. Okay, but if I add in a gradient now, it might not become very clear. So let's just go in and add in a header. I'm just going to add in a header, which looks blank because my initial global palette for text is that color as well. So let's just change the color over here for now for the text to be dark. There we go. Okay, and what I'm going to do is on this section, I'm going to say, let's just go to the advanced tab, and I'm going to say the padding is about 150 for the top and 150 for the bottom. So everything you put in there is always going to be 150 from the top and 150 from the bottom. And we'll also do the same with the left. We'll say left is 30 and right is 30 as well. You won't see right because it doesn't go all the way to the right, but I hope that makes sense there. Okay, so we've got our text in there. Now let's go back to the section as well. Let's go to the style. So we've got one background color. Or we could go for a gradient. Okay, so when I pick gradient now, we will go for the red color at the bottom, and for the top we will go for white. And we get that nice little gradient going on here. But we could change the angle of that. So if I start to mess around, it can now be more to the left or more to the right, whichever one you want to go for. Let's just put that back into the middle like that. But did you know you can make it a very solid gradient shift going on here? So I'm going to type in here, for the top one, the location is 50. And I'm going to match it at the bottom as well. Whoa, we now have clear contrast, sharp lines going across with 2 colours. And now when I change the angle, look at that. Sometimes people start to put in a section and they start putting in shape dividers to get the particular colour. Well, no, we could do this and I could have a complete like that. And it's still one section. Someone's going to think, oh, that's 2 columns. No, it's not. It's 1 column, 1 section. And I've just used a gradient. Let's just change that layout to be like that. Okay, no, let's put it back to 180. let me get this right. There we go, put it back to 180. I could now type 25 and make sure I match the value below, 25, 25. You might sit there thinking, but isn't it 75? 25, 75, 100%. No, it's not working in percentages, okay? So if I was to now put 60, and it's going to be a lot, no, let's go for 70, it pushes down. But because the bottom value is already smaller than that, it doesn't matter. But I would always say, just for sanity, make sure you put the same value in. Okay, so let's put that back to 50, and we'll go for 50 there as well. So that's gradients. We could also put in a video. You know, if you've got a YouTube link, get the video link or whatever, stick it in, specify the start time, play once, etc. You know, all of that, you can do all of that in there. Not always massively recommended, I think, sometimes, because it can slow down your website if it's the very first thing that comes on. So just bear that in mind, okay? Or you could put in a slideshow as well. So you could start putting in lots of different images. We'll go for that one, that one, that one, that one as well. And we'll just do create gallery, like so. Insert gallery. And what we now get is a slideshow going on there. We may have to just adjust the size though to go for cover. And let's just go for center. There you go. So what will happen is as it slides through them, it's going to start to show the images. So there's quite a lot of options there. Solid color, gradient, video, slideshow. Brilliant. Or we might just want a picture. And 9 times out of 10, that is what I will go for. You know, so what is the brand we're trying to get across? What am I trying to show the viewer who's come to the website? This is what the website is about. So instead of using those other options, we'll go to choose image, and I'm just going to pick a image of this lady sat here. Okay, let's just go for that. Insert the image. There we go. That looks pretty okay. But then we have some extra settings pop up for us. So the position now is center. That now kind of tells me we need to increase the padding or the heights there because we can't fully see her. But we could also go for a top center instead. Now we can see her. And you have options here for how you want to position it. So play around with that to get the right fit for what you want. Or you could go for custom. And you could actually be very specific on what is the layout you want to go for. So exactly what do we want to see? Now can you see here? As soon as I do that, we've got a repeat going on here. That's because we haven't touched that setting yet. So let's just for now put this back onto top center. I'm going to come back to the attachment. So let's go to repeat. I always go for no repeat. It is a standard. I never ever have it set to repeat no matter what the client says. I always go for repeat. By the way, if the client wants repeat, I do repeat. I don't mean that. And then for the size, you can either go, well, the only two you really need to worry about are cover or contain. If you go for contain, it takes that image now and it just puts it in terms of the size, how it was uploaded or what was set in terms of your height at the moment. So if I increase the height of that section, that image will grow. But because of the height it is at the moment, it's contained the image, it's blocked it in. That's not great because I now have empty space over here and here. Not brilliant. So if I now go for cover, it now covers the image. It's not stretching it, but it's using the estate that's available, okay? And that's the reason why you have the positioning for top center, center right, center left, etc. Now as I move up and down, okay, I do have a sticky header at the top. That's why it's disappearing behind the header. The text and the image are both moving simultaneously. And that's fine if that's what you want. But what you could do is change it. Now, if we go for scroll, that is the same as what I've just shown you, okay? They move simultaneously. So as you scroll, it scrolls. But if you pick fixed, what it now does is it fixes the image, okay? Don't think fixed means it's fixed. No. Fixed means the image is fixed. But the text and everything else that's on top of that will now scroll as you scroll. So look, the image has slightly grown. And as I scroll now, the image just stays there fixed in the background. So as you move up and down, it doesn't go anywhere. And you could have a great effect where if I was to now just do a quick duplicate of this one here, let's just go to this new section. Let me just change the background to be, let's go for this desked, just a desk will do. There we go. Okay, and let me just change this font header to be a white. Okay, right, now I hope you can see this. So we got the lady with the text. Look what happens as I scroll. Because we've also got a fixed image below as well. So we get this kind of like parallax effect going on. And we can go further. So let's go back to that section, okay. We could have a scrolling effect. So this is the one I tend to use is the scale one, or the vertical one as well. So let's go for vertical, okay. And what's now going to happen, in fact, I'm going to put down like that. As I scroll down, the image is actually moving down. Can you see her nose, her top of her glasses, or the bottom of her glasses? As I scroll down, it's doing that. How cool is that? And we can also increase it as well. So if I just increase the speed a little bit more, we can have something a bit more dramatic. Okay, obviously pick the right kind of image, otherwise right now her head is being cut off at the moment. But we could also go the other way, so we could go for an up as well. So as we scroll down and the text is going up, the image is also going up at a slightly different speed. Okay, if you want to get rid of that, just hit the anti-clockwise button below. That is scrolling effects, another great feature. Shape dividers, you know, that's where you may decide you want to add in, let's just go for a triangle. Let's do it on, no, sorry, let's not do it at the top. Let's do it at the bottom. There we go. So you might have an effect going on where, let's just say this image here was a particular color. So section 2 did not have an image. So we got rid of that. Let's now just pick the color red. Okay. My battery is low. Anyway, and then we go back to section 1. We go back to the shape divider. We go to the bottom because it's touching the bottom. We have a triangle and I'm going to pick the same color. What I am now going to do is just stretch the width, and I'm just going to tinker with the height as well, just to go about there. So what we now have is we have the image staying in the background, the text will now move, and we have this shape divider. So look, certain ways of how you can make your background look a bit different. I would not do that with a triangle, by the way, but I just want to show you the effect. Okay, and if we go now to the Advanced tab, here's where we've already kind of started defining like the padding. So when you put content into your section, how does that affect the height or the look of it? So let's just put 500 in. Well, now it's a much bigger section, but the shape divider is still there. It's just further down at the bottom. And, you know, we could decide, do we want this to work, or do we want this to be visible on the desktop, the tablet, and the mobile? Most likely, yes. But if we were to now go to responsive mode, and let's just put the width of this to be 378, that's roughly the standard for the iPhone XR. Everything else after that is a bit bigger, but if you can get it right for the XR, you're pretty safe. And we can now see that that is looking very big for just a little bit of text. So what we do is make sure you're on the section, go to your Advanced tab, and I would say just reset everything. Reset the entire margin and padding, because this is only for the mobile view. Your desktop is still going to be what it was before. That's not changed. That's still the same size. In the mobile, we've reset it, and what I can now do is say, okay, we're going to have 50 from the top, or we might have 100 from the bottom. And obviously, we're going to change the text color, maybe add a bit of background or blending to the header, but that's where we just start to modify. And again, you might want to do the same down here, you know, just reset it all, and then, you know, just, you know, start to define what is your color scheme, etc., that you're going for. Okay, cool. That is basically, in a nutshell, how you can use background sections and start to mess around with the look of it. I nearly forgot. Sorry. Whoa, dude. I nearly forgot. So we've got our background image. We do have the background overlay. I can't believe I nearly forgot this. So we've got our background, okay? If I go to background type, I could now add a color. So we've got our image, but now we have a background overlay. So I've just added in the color from our palette and actually set the opacity. Now it's completely covering the image. Now it isn't, and I could just slowly increase it to be a certain color. Same with the gradient. I could have a white color, and I could have, we could go for a 50, and remember the 50 to get the solid color like that. You know, remember, we can change the angle like that. So we've got our image. Now we've got an overlay gradient over it. And again, someone's going to think you've probably used another plugin, or you've got two columns and you've messed around with shape dividers. No, we've just used a background overlay here. And you can do so many things here. You could have a different color appears when you go to hover. So you hover when you go over this. So we've got 140, 50, 50. Let's do it. Let's do it. So let's go for white, and we'll change that to be a black color. And we'll go for 50 and 50, and we'll go for 140. Look at that. When you hover over it, it now changes color. This is amazing. Well, not really, but I do get a bit overexcited sometimes. What you could also do is, rather than adding a color, you could add in another image. So I'm going to pick this one in again. And this is where I've got the image, okay, and I can change the opacity. Look at that. How cool is that? And again, this could be one of those instances where, for instance, I still have the hover on as well, so that's why you're getting that effect when I hover over it. But you could do something where you have an image showing, and when you move your mouse over it, so you might say hover over here, you hover over it, and rather than it bringing in another image or whatever, what it's actually doing is it overlays a totally different image that might have some text. So you might have an image that's already got the text built on the image. Does that make sense? So when you hover over it, that now appears. Again, another great way of how you can get some features over into your background. So that is your sections. That's your backgrounds. I find it such a fun way to get into Elementor when you start messing around with things like this. Thumbs up if you like. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you soon.